Hello, friends. Welcome to Akul Mike Live. And in our universe, in our surrounding, things are not as it seems. Let's talk about Earth. It's a no-brainer. Earth is round. We all know that Earth is round. But if somebody says that Earth is round, I agree. But Earth can also be flat, like this. Well, you would say, how foolish is this? Earth is round, and how can you say that Earth is flat? But the reality is, the answer is true in both the cases. It's a question of perspective. Earth can be round and Earth can be flat as well. So we will discuss this point today. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Friends, Earth is round. It does not require major analysis. We all know that Earth is round. We have taken pictures from space. We have also taken pictures of other planets. They all look round. Even Sun is round. So even though all these celestial bodies are round, like stars, neutron stars, planets, and large stuff like that, then why humans for millennia were thinking that Earth is flat? Like this. And it's not only in few cultures but across the world, the major belief was that Earth is flat. And in fact, if you go in antiquity, until the Galileo saw or produced a picture of universe through his telescope, we always felt that Earth is flat. In fact, most of the mankind, most of the scientists used to propagate Earth was flat. Even though in Indian culture and also in Greek culture, it was well-known fact that Earth is also round. So why most of the humanity felt that Earth is flat like this, and why we have this notion that Earth is also flat. In fact, there is a flat Earth society. For many centuries, humans have this view of the world, which is a flat view. And the belief was that if you venture out in the ocean, out in the open, you will hit a point where there will be a flat edge of the earth, and you may fall over or tip over on the side of the earth. And that is why people were scared to go out too deep into the ocean, and exploration was a bit of a difficulty, because they had this notion that if you go far out of land in the ocean, you will not only encounter large monsters, but also the end of the earth will reach and you will fall over, and that is a point of no return. So that was a belief system. And if you talk about Indian mythology, then we have both views. The ancient Indian belief was that Earth is flat, but in Sanskrit, which is the ancient Indian language, Earth is also called Bhu, which is a short form of Bhumi, which we call in Hindi Bhumi. It is also called Bhu. And the thought process of the ancient Indian was that Earth is also called Bhugol, which is the round Earth. So in the ancient Indian time, both thought process, whether Earth was flat or Earth was round, were coexisting, because this is a picture of a flat Earth as one of the scriptures in ancient India. And we know for a fact that there are many temples, many carvings across the length and breadth of India, where in the sculptures they have shown that the earth is round, and it is also called Bhugol in Sanskrit. So Bhu as earth and Gol is round. So both views were coexisting. In fact, the ancient India, the idea of free speech was much more prevalent than current day time, and therefore both theories were coexisting. I think we need to wonder why the ancients had such confusion around whether the earth is round or earth is flat. I think after further analysis, I found that both perspectives are right, because, of course, earth is a sphere or spheroid, because we exist in three dimensions. And if you look at the two-dimensional universe, you will obviously not have the height angle. So whether Earth looks flat or flattish or concavish or convexus, it's a question of which dimension you are actually watching Earth from. So if you are watching Earth from 4 dimensions, then it will look flattish again. So in 2D it looks like a circle, and in 4 dimension it does not look like a circle, but it looks like a flat Earth. We will explain this by a physical experiment or a thought experiment which is coming up right now. In order to understand the dimensions, we have to also look at how our universe is perceived. So if there is a point here, as I'm trying to show, it is a 0 dimension. Point has no dimension. It does not give you any feeling of up or down. But if you make a line out of this, then obviously you get a feeling of length or distance. You can interpret in whichever way you want, and you can have a single dimension word like this, like a line. But then if you make a more number of lines like this, what I'm trying to show here, then this becomes a 2D object, because now you have 2 dimensions which are added to it. So the 2 dimensions are the length and the breadth. These are the 2 dimensions. So now instead of just a point, now you have 2 dimensions here, which explains that this is a square or this is a circle in 2 dimensions. Right now, this is a 2D object. This is also a 2D object. Anything which is drawn on paper is a 2D object, and we know all that. We actually use this 2 dimension all the time. We watch TV, we do studies on a paper, we are actually watching videos. All of that is a 2D which is visible, and we interpret 2 dimensions as a 2D. 2D is very good for explaining things for interpretation. However, if you look at this picture from side, as I'm trying to show here, it does not give any feeling of depth. You see, these circle has no height, no depth, no up and down. So it is a real 2D, and in order to get a 3 dimension, which is you add a third dimension, which is like this. This is the third dimension. So let's say if this dimension is x and this dimension is y, which is length, and the height is z, height or depth. Now you can actually start existing in third dimension, and you can make a cube out of this, like this, and then suddenly you start seeing the depth in these in this picture. Even though I'm trying to draw this and visualize this whole thing on the paper, but you start seeing imagining the third dimension, and this is exactly our world looks like. We actually exist in 3 dimensions, but when we look at things, we actually look at 2D. Let me now try to give a visual example of a 3D universe. Let's look at this object. This is a cube, pretty much a cube which is similar to what I was trying to draw on paper. But if you see the image of this cube on a piece of wall, it will be a square or it will be a cuboid. Let us try to look at this example. The same cube is casting a shadow which is in 2 dimension. So even though we exist in a 3D world, we actually are used to looking at 2D objects. Let us now extend our thought experiment to a sphere. As you can see, I've added additional dimension here, which is the height, and that makes this picture a 3D picture. But when a 3D sphere casts the image on a plane surface, it will be a circle. So you can imagine that whenever we look out into space, we are always looking at 2-dimensional space, and our brain also interpret a 2-dimensional space, even though we are living in 3 dimensions. There is one more point that we need to consider now. If you look at this line, this is a single dimension. This has no shape. It is a single dimension. But to make a 2D object like a square, you need 4 of these single dimension. It means 4 lines you need to make a complete picture of a 2D object. Similarly, if you want to make a 3D object, you need 6 of these 2D objects to complete a 3D object, like a cube. So, in nutshell, when you live in three-dimensional universe, you actually live in a space which is surrounded by 6 two-dimensional space. To understand this more holistically, we are living in a three-dimensional universe, and we will have intermingled 2D universe all around us. 6 different universes may be required to make a three-dimensional universe, and there could be a 2D universe which is just lying out there, and we can actually watch what is going on in two-dimensional world. But the 2D people, the people who are living on two-dimensional universe, will never know that somebody from the third dimension is watching them. So the 2D universe is surrounded all around by a 3D universe, and therefore a 3D universe in two-dimensional or a flat land will be called hyperspace. Similarly, when a 3D universe gives us a feeling of height, a feeling of up and down, a 4D universe may require 6 of 3D cubes to make a 4-dimension universe. And what is that extra dimension that is added? And that dimension, other than height, would be the duration. So it is very difficult to comprehend. So our situation is pretty much like what people in single dimensions or people in 2 dimensions feel, that the third dimension people are always watching them all the time. Similarly, if there is a living being in 4D, they may be watching us all the time, and there is nothing that we can hide. All events which are happening around us or happened or going to happen will be visible to a person living in 4D, because they will have the ability to experience, live in one extra dimension, which is called duration. And therefore, when they are looking at us in a lower dimension, they will be able to see our past, present, and future all at the same time. If there is somebody watching us at this time from a 4D universe, they will be able to see our future as well as present and past. There is nothing we can do to hide the events which are happening in our universe. They are always watching us. There is nothing we can hide. Even if we put a ball inside a box, they will be able to see that there is a ball inside the box. Simply because, when they are in a 4D, they have one more extra dimension, which is the duration. So they are able to experience length, breadth, height, and duration. So therefore, when they are looking at duration, they will be able to see how our universe function, behave in all aspects from the beginning. A 4D universe being will be seeing something like this. They will see our universe like a flow of time, like a river which is flowing, and they can actually pick and choose any moment in our past, present, or future, and they can examine what is going on with our space, with our planets, with ourselves, all the objects which are living in our universe. They will be able to see all at once. Let us come back to the flat Earth. A 4D person will see Earth in this format. In this format, the entire Earth is visible. It looks like as if the ball of the Earth is flattened like this, not squished. It is actually flattened out. And this is how the Earth will look like to them. And in the current context, the edge of the Earth is surrounded by icy mountains, because we have a continent over there. And these icy mountains will prevent any person to go beyond this icy mountain, which is true, because when we actually go beyond this icy mountains, we come back in the same land that we have. We cannot cross this. And therefore, when we look at these flat Earth models, as we walk towards these icy mountains, it becomes impossible to cross from the 4D person perspective. The amount of force required that we need to exert out to move to the edge of the earth will be humongous, which will be equal to escape velocity, almost like 11 kilometers per second. So we have to get the acceleration done in order to cross over the edge of the earth. And this is why the flat earth is a very plausible model, especially when people are looking at from the 4 dimensions. A 4D person will be able to see earth in this fashion. In fact, every being on earth, every object in our universe will be visible like a flow to them, and they can pick a point in that flow and they can actually extend that and see that in a holistic picture of that. And as I said, there's nothing we can hide from the 4D person. Therefore, they will be able to see the flattish earth, because all movements, like for us, we are living on one side of the earth and we don't know what is happening on the other side. But that is not the case when a 4D person is looking at us, or from a person from 4 dimension universe. They will actually see earth completely opening up in front of their own eyes, and they will be able to see the entire earth in that moment, in that duration. Everything, whatever has happened to every living organism, to all the events, they will be able to see all at once. Friends, it's very, very difficult to visualize the whole impact of how a 4 dimension being will see us. And there is very difficult, because the extra dimensions is something that we can't even imagine. Usually we imagine everything in 2 dimensions, because when we watch TV, when we study our books, when we look at things, they are all 2D objects with little bit of depth which is available, because we are also in living in 3 dimension universe, but our brain interpret 2D objects. Similarly, when somebody is watching us from 4 dimension, we cannot imagine what they are seeing. We know only little bit information, and it is very, very difficult to visualize. That is why I say that the flat earth theory, or the flat earth, could be a reality, especially when somebody is watching us from 4 dimensions. And one of the theory is that the ancients used to talk about flat earth simply because they were the custodian of God and godly things across all religions across the world. And therefore, the common belief is that the 4D being may be a god-like creature or god-like person who's watching all our movements. And that is why when the god is looking at us, they're looking at a flat earth. But when we are looking at our own being, we are actually looking at a round earth. So both perspectives are true, and I thought I will bring this analysis to you. What do you think about this? You have an opinion on this? If you have, do write comments on this video. And friends, I respond to each and every comment.